Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About Meh, where we talk about anything and everything, stuff I'm interested in, stuff I'm not interested in, but most definitely centered around my midlife crisis. So this is the first podcast that I have ever done, and it's probably going to be a shambling mess like the rest of everything else I've done. And today, for my first ever podcast, I'm being joined by Ricky Hernandez. I cannot say your last name properly. I have to say it Hernandez.
It was a good effort.
Hernandez. It's nice. It just rolls off my tongue. Otherwise known as locally in the wrestling scene as RJ Cash. Say hello.
Hello, I'm RJ Cash.
Your mum's favourite wrestler.
I'm actually considering dropping that. I know you and I haven't discussed this, but it's something that I'm considering. I don't know. I don't want to be. I've been sort of running with this gimmick for 2-3 years now. Not really changed much about it, and I do maybe feel like it's time to freshen up a little bit. And that's one thing I can maybe change to your dad's favourite wrestler.
Your dad's favourite? Well, I mean, keep it in the same wheelhouse. So today we're just going to have a chat mainly about your experiences within Combat League Wrestling, because Ricky's been a trainee and a performer there for how many years?
Oh man, I was thinking that before I came through. I don't actually know. Pre-COVID, I think I was there for a year and a half, two.
No.
Pre-COVID, more than that.
Long.
Neither of us know.
Maybe a year.
Yeah, I don't know. Neither of us know.
See if it was 2 years pre-COVID, we need to hit that ring a bit more, Ricky.
No, because I was reffing for about a year, mind. And
Fair.
post-COVID, I came back as a performer. I was performing pre-COVID, a couple of 2 or 3 shows, and I was reffing for about a year prior to that. So I think it was either a year and a half or 2 years pre-COVID.
So basically, you put up on my shit for a good
long
years
time.
Now. A long time, which is more than most people do. So yeah, we're going to go into all that. We're going to probably wander off topic many times. But we have other things that we want to discuss as well. So we're going to get into the meat of what we're going to talk about. Then we're going to discuss a couple of things, that whatever you're enjoying at the moment in media or music or whatever. I will share whatever, and then we'll deliberate, discuss. Also, though, just for a bit of fun, we have some cards here that have extremely inappropriate questions on them.
Excellent.
Which Ricky will have to answer. He's only allowed one pass. So whenever I drop these cards on them, which I think just keep you on your toes. I think I'm gonna do it at random.
Right, okay.
You'll be like really emotional, crying about midnight. and then I had to go.
Whip out something entirely inappropriate.
I had to go to the funeral. But have you ever had anal sex?
Listen, I will try not to use my pass. I will try to be as open and honest and clear.
An open book.
Indeed.
An open book.
Yeah.
I'm going to slam that one shut.
I won't lie either.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to have to do all the lovely YouTubey, internet-y, disgusting stuff. So we're going to do the social. So the email, which you can get in touch with me at, ask me any questions, insult me as much as you like, and tell me how bad a job I'm doing, or even if you have questions for Mr. Hernandez. The email is official, LetsTalkAboutMeh@gmail.com. I'm also on YouTube, but if you're watching the video, then you're on YouTube now, so you find this, so have a cookie. I'm also on Instagram at LetsTalkAboutMeh1, where it's just going to be general rubbish and life stuff on it, and some clips of whatever I'm doing on here, but you can contact me on any of them. So, without further ado, Ricky.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us your ASL.
So you mentioned that pre-recording, and I said that there's not many people that would get that reference these days. No. Dave and I are the same age. I'm 37. Are you okay to admit that?
I'm 37. That's 37. Fine. I'm not ashamed of that.
I'm from Wick, born and bred. Lived there my whole life.
You should be ashamed of that.
Yeah. Dirty weaker.
Teen about it. I'm a teen about it.
And yeah, I currently work with ScotRail, a train conductor. I have one son who is my absolute world. I enjoy wrestling, obviously with Dave. He's
oh.
specifically with you.
Performing. Perform. You
No,
enjoy
no, just wrestling
performing,
you.
just wrestling me privately.
The performance is secondary to.
Do you not think it's about time that you reimburse me for that baby oil?
Well, more baby oil than P Diddy. We started well, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. Just that's it. Straight into the Diddy jokes.
Yeah, so I've always loved wrestling, but I have other interests. I'm a big football fan, a bit of a nerd. As you can see, some of the stuff behind us that Dave has, I'm very much into a lot of the same stuff that Dave is. I love the games nights that we have together, and yeah, he's been a good friend now for I think seven years plus,
I've not known
probably.
you 7+ years.
I think so, man. I think so. I think I was.
that long.
Again, I don't know. Well, pre-COVID, if I was there at training for 2 years, roughly, I think 2018. So 7. Must be coming.
Must be coming up with 7.
Yeah.
Good Lord, time flies.
It does. It does. I actually have a theory that the older you get, the quicker time goes.
So they say.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it like that, but
Oh, I know. That's pretty sad. I was speaking to my dad about it in the car on the way from Glasgow, and he's 58, and he's like, "Yeah, man, it just gets worse."
no. You telling me I got nothing to look forward to there?
Nah,
Just
there's
whoosh.
plenty to look forward to. It just flies past really quickly, and then it's back to the depressing stuff. But
There's no depressing stuff. Okay, did you always fall?
yeah, I'll do that a few times.
If you fall, I'm keeping it in. I'm not gonna lie.
It goes back a little bit. I'm good. But yeah, that's me. ASL. Age 37, sex male most of the time, and location Wick. Born and bred.
And what is just because tells you more about your life? What's your current employment?
So yeah, conductor for ScotRail. So I've been in the job for just over a year, and I absolutely love it. It's a job that there's a lot more cons than there are pros, and there's a lot more good days than there are bad. And I feel at home actually there. Funnily enough, I mean I've had an array of different jobs. When I first came out of school, I had some health issues through my youth, which I'm sure we'll touch on at some point. I got a part-time job in BT in a call centre, worked there for 5 years.
Well done for surviving.
Indeed. It was, I mean...
Thank you for your service.
To be honest, all I did was I worked, and then my paycheck just went in the pub for the first couple of years because I hadn't had a social life in my teenage years. So I made up for that between probably 18 to 20, 21.
So maybe on that note then, since we're talking about you in general in this section, so because it's already popped up twice, so why didn't you have a social life in your early years then?
Okay, so we'll go straight into that. It's no problem. So when I was 14/15, I came down with an illness, mysterious illness. They initially diagnosed it as glandular fever, and I was really wiped out. Like I was a very, very active child. I was always out. I had a PlayStation and I did sit in and game sometimes, but most of the time I was out on my bike. I was out playing football. I was out playing with the kids in the. Back then it was more normal for the kids to just be out in the streets playing.
Aye, you come back in when the street lights.
Exactly.
Yeah,
or your mum, you would hear your mum shouting at you from like all the way down the street, and you're like, "Oh, it's dinner time." She should be yelling your name.
But if it was after the third call, that was it.
Oh yeah, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So that was my childhood, really, up until 14, 15, where I became completely debilitated, fatigued in a way that I'd never ever experienced. And initially, it was diagnosed as glandular fever, and then, man, it was a pain trying to get any sort of proper diagnosis. It took at least probably 6 to 9 months, I think it was, before the words chronic fatigue syndrome or ME was brought up by not my own GP. My own GP didn't, or I don't know how he feels about it now, but he didn't believe in chronic fatigue syndrome. And I mean, he did every single test under the sun. I had high levels. I was jaundiced, really jaundiced, and my liver levels were off, one in particular. But we sort of managed to get that under control. But I was just not able to function in the same way physically. And I was off school, and my parents couldn't understand. All these tests were coming back that there was nothing wrong with me. They struggled, and they they forcibly tried to get me just to keep going, to get out of bed.
Take the notion of, well, if we jumpstart you and get on with it.
Yeah, just get on with it, exactly.
Just get on with it.
Yeah.
Not, shake it off.
Yeah, and my dad in particular. Mum understood a little bit more once I was sort of diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And just to explain that for anybody that doesn't know what chronic fatigue syndrome is.
I'm going to move you because you seem more comfortable there.
Thanks, man. So chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as myalgic encephalomyelitis, I think is the pronunciation.
Well, that's exotic.
Yeah, it's essentially if you've heard of fibromyalgia, it's somewhat similar to that. It's in the same sort of family as that. It is a neurological disorder in some ways, but there's no definitive proof or treatment of this existing. But it affects a massive amount of people, and the word fatigue, people use that lightly these days, or tired. You know, true fatigue is really, really, really debilitating. I remember at the very worst, I was lying in my bed, and I genuinely, I'd lost so much weight. I was probably about 7-8 stone at the time, and I was 16, 17. I was just a stick, and honestly, I could not garner the energy to lift my mobile phone from my bedside cabinet to look at it. I had a mobile phone at that point, and I remember trying to garner the energy, and I couldn't. I ended up in hospital on a drip several times. I don't think anybody truly understands what fatigue is until you... I mean, you have a good idea of fatigue. Everyone knows. Everyone knows how it feels to be tired, and the stuff that comes along with that, the memory issues, the muscle pains, the
just everything shuts down.
Yeah,
brain fog, breathing,
Yeah.
energy levels, cognitive abilities.
Yes,
physical,
concentration.
mental.
Yeah, and massive depression.
All the mental health just goes through the floor.
Oh, absolutely.
It's I mean, you have the mental health issues of dealing with physicality issues, and then I can't do anything.
And it was really hard for me because I wasn't used to it. I was going through, puberty. Well, not puberty at that point, but
you didn't go through it.
Yeah, but you're going through those teenage years, which are formative years, and you're struggling with seeing all your mates doing stuff, and actually seeing all your mates forgetting about you. I don't have any friends from school that I've kept in touch, and I don't put that out there as if it's a bad thing on them. I don't blame them at all for losing that contact, because I was just never there.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mum read a book called Why Me, with capital M-E, and I read it. I was given it by, I can't remember, one of the many specialists that I saw. And
can I just say, I'm already learning so much about you. The fact that you went through puberty and you can read. This is amazing.
And nowadays I prefer audiobooks, actually.
You've already impressed me.
Yeah, my reading skills are not what they used to be. But so Mum read the book, and she started understanding a little bit more of what I was going through, and maybe life got a little bit easier after that. But I rarely attended school. I managed to pass my standard grades somehow. There was 2 teachers in particular that were very, very, very supportive and sent me work home, and my English teacher and my art teacher, they're both very, very supportive of me. I managed to squeeze through my standard grades, but I did take hires, but I was never in school to actually be able to learn anything, to be able to pass the exams. So that was a really, really difficult time.
So is this something that can be treated, or was it just something that it passes with time?
I was just going to, thanks for reminding me of that, because I was going to touch on that. I have tried every single possible therapy for fatigue or chronic fatigue syndrome, or I've tried a thing called Biora therapy, which is to do with energy levels and chakras and all that sort of stuff. I've tried homeopathy with all the wild arsenic and all the poisons, all that sort of stuff, man. Like a really, really watered down, mild poisons, basically. I've tried. I went to psychologists as well when I was younger. My mum, honestly, she paid anyone and everyone if there was any distance faith healing as well, which at the time I wasn't sold on. But yeah, my mum tried everything, any way of helping me, and I really do appreciate what she did for me, even though none of it actually helped. Biorotherapy actually helped a little. It did, interestingly enough, even though it's not really something that I invest heavily into, the chakras and your energy and all that stuff. But it did genuinely feel like she was actually physically affected me when she was doing the therapy itself. But yeah, there's no actual treatment. There's still, I keep up to date with anything that they suggest will help. To be honest, it's something that you sort of just need to adjust to, that over time will improve. If you do certain things like improve your diet, exercise as much as you can, but not overexert yourself. If you keep to a routine, if you avoid excess stress, all of these things I didn't know when I was 15. You know, when I was 15.
Oh, you never think about it when you're 15.
No,
No.
When your parents are having to go at you about being in bed the whole time, and you know you're missing school, all that, and the teenage stress in general, you're not thinking, I need to avoid stress, or you're not thinking I need to keep in a routine. You're just trying to sleep as and when you can, because your mind is not allowing you to actually sleep. That's the thing. I was fatigued, but my brain wasn't fatigued.
No, it's
It was brain fog, and there was cognitive issues on concentration, but it was still ticking away. So as I say, that really did. I became clinically depressed. And I suicide was certainly an option for me during those couple of years. But yeah, there's no real easy way of getting through that. You just have to learn to adjust. And I honestly thought there was times that I thought that I remember thinking to myself that I would never have a normal future. I specifically remember lying in bed and thinking, I'm never going to be able to be a normal functioning adult with a full-time job, with a family, with hobbies and interests, and the energy to live, to be able to provide for another human being. Like, I just could not see that. I could not, in any way, comprehend how that would be possible from where I was at. I just never thought I would be in the position that I'm in now, which is somewhat healthy, adjusted. I know now that I need to avoid excess stress. I try not to overexert myself. I try to manage my activities as best I can. Yes, I wrestle, but
I was about to say, not exert stress. I mean, you picked up a bad hobby there.
I know, but there's things in life that are worth the come down, worth the 3-4 days that it takes me to pick myself back up. There are things that I push myself to do, and manage the after effects. And wrestling is one of them. I do sacrifice days for a show. I really do. I know you do as well, because you know that come down, that feeling, and anyone else that's performed will know that feeling after a show. And I'm not saying mine's is worse. I don't like to consider that. Because other people have their issues as well, man. Everyone has mental health problems to a degree, or have suffered with them. Everyone has their own niggles. I know you have injuries, man.
Oh, I'm a walking car
I call Dave Mr. Glass.
I am Mr. Glass right now. I am.
For anyone that's seen Unbreakable.
But yeah, I mean, to go from chronic fatigue and then, as you say, to where you are now is night and day. For people that aren't involved with professional wrestling or performing, or even don't watch it, professional wrestling is one of the most difficult. Now, I know I'll get a lot of heat for this, but I'm going to say it, right? Yes, there's the sports aspect to it, but to me, the way I always put it forward is that it's combat theatre. I see it the same as when you have... Our schools entirely dedicated to different forms of theatre combat, like sword and shield, pole arms, armour, martial arts, wushu, all that kind of stuff. I think it's the same thing. The only difference is that we do it live. We do it on the spot. And I might sound a bit over the top, but I still think that professional wrestling, whether it's in a hall with 10 people or if it's in an arena filled with 300,000 people, it's one of the last forms of Shakespearean stage art because Shakespeare used to use a 360 stage.
Yeah.
And there's not many other things now that the last time I saw something like that with a 360 stage was recently Metallica's last tour, where it was a circular stage,
yeah.
and some stage plays. I don't know if you remember Dane Cook, comedian. He did it.
Yes.
But not often do you have something where it's everyone can see from every
Yeah.
angle, and the physicality is one aspect. You need to be in really good physical shape, but the mental side, I think, is harder. I think it's
it is.
the ability to learn the craft, stay on top of the craft, how you approach presenting your art form, your match work. That takes an absolute abundance of energy, physically, mentally. Then on top of it, as you say, I think everybody has that when you have like a really, really good show and the crowd's wild and you absolutely gave 110%, you gave every ounce of your body. Say it was like you had a storyline that you were really chomping into, you really enjoy, and you went out and you hit it, and the crowd went crazy, and you go backstage and you go, but then you look at each other and go, that was amazing, that was great, and then you get the adrenaline as you're doing it, and the come down hits the very next morning. Once you wake up and go, why am I doing this? My body. Then the mental kicks in. It's like, sucks. I just got to wash my dishes. And last night I was doing a front flip of a top rope on top of someone.
Exactly.
It's so banal.
Yeah.
And it's hard to maintain coming back to the normal mindset. I would imagine that like any form, like rock stars and stuff like that. I mean, that's probably why they go to drink.
yeah. I 100% agree with your synopsis there. Is that the right word? But your summary, I think what you're saying is 100% correct. I think that adrenaline is so fulfilling at the time, but it's so soul destroying for the days after. And it's great if you do have a good match because at least you can hang on to that. But if you've gone out there and you've sucked, then it's even harder for days on end.
I'm glad you've mentioned this. I'm glad you've brought that up, Ricky, because I'd just like to get this off my chest. And now that I've got a public platform where, all two people that are going to see this.
Me and you.
I may have mentioned this in class at training a few times. So we had a show in 2019. That's when lockdown hit, wasn't it? 2019?
Yeah, end of 2019, wasn't it?
So we had the first ever Combat League show.
Yes, we did.
It was technically, we refer to it now as the pilot because we only got one because obviously they were locked down that year. And my match was not everything that I wanted it to be. Now, I don't like yucking other people's yum, but my dance partner had an absolute wealth of potential, a wealth of talent, and just didn't listen. And there's a thing where it's one of the worst experiences. I don't know if you've had this yet. If you haven't, you'll have it with me. I'll do it to you on purpose. But one of the worst things that can happen is you plan the match. So I was the veteran between the two of us, so I planned the match. We had gone over it in class because this person's memory was a little bit scatty. Not bad, it happens. Not everybody's good at memorizing. So worked this person through it, worked through it. We went over it, which I don't like doing too much. Then we went through it how many times during the day. And then did the entrances. I came in. I was the big body. I was wearing a mask and everything. And I was like, And then we circle around. I'm fully in character. And I'm like, right, we're going to go. And then I'm looking in my opponent's eyes. And then the bell goes. And then you see the person's face just goes blank. And the eyes have this it's a blank look, but there's absolute wild panic behind it. And you just go, shit, they forgot everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything. And there's the distance of the ring from corner to corner is roughly 12 to 13 feet.
Aye.
Right? It's miles at that point. It may as well be miles. I may as well have carrier pigeons sent to get anything. I'd be like, do you know what we're doing?
Yeah.
No, it's awful and terrifying. I had a bad match. Then lockdown hit. Right? And it sounds really petty because lockdown was awful for everyone.
Yeah.
But one of the things that really at the beginning of it was realising I'm not going to be able to get back into class.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get to do another show to wash that bad match away. Wow. I was stuck with it for 2 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And and it's really petty, but the way I liken it is to be like, imagine you're an artist that paints, right? And you did a painting, and it's the worst painting, but you hate it. You don't like anything about it. It now has to be your wallpaper in the one room that you're allowed to stay in. You have to look at it and keep it there all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that it can kick you. So when it's normal life, and you have a bad match, it drains you more. Going on to what you're saying with the chronic fatigue syndrome, I can relate to a lot of that because, you know, I'm autistic, which I was late diagnosed autistic. And I know it's a sentence, like, I can see people rolling their eyes at class when I know people because I was like, oh, I'm autistic. I don't actually feel bad about that anymore. I used to. And it comes up a lot. Yeah, that's because I'm autistic. Because I'm autistic. Because I don't believe you have autism. You are autism because it's neurodivergence. It's how my brain is wired.
Yeah.
So the chronic fatigue thing, I had that in my teen years, but again, it was deemed you're just a moody teen that stays in bed all day.
Yeah.
And I still get it now. It's such a multifaceted thing, and I can be functional for days, weeks, not often these days, but I can be highly functional, and then low energy, gone, buff, brain fog, buff, depression, everything goes out the window, burnout. I even get like paranoia, and then you go dive deeper and deeper, and then of course the suicide comes into it. Now, when I say suicide, yes, there is the aspect of like immediately everyone goes to, oh, you want to take your life, right? That is one aspect of it, but I also think that was a part of the word that people gloss over, is that suicide means no will to live. Having no will to live doesn't necessarily mean you want to end your life. It's being suicidal is waking up in the morning and going, still here.
Yeah.
Got to do everything. It's having no joy.
Yeah.
It's having that sucked out of you. No joy, no sense of purpose, and being empty. And yeah, chronic like fatigue goes hand in hand with it. So I mean, the biggest positive is, as you say, is going from where you were to where you are now and what you're doing. You're performing in non-stop now for 2-3 years.
It's still a struggle, to be honest. There's still moments, and again, what you're talking about there is, I think, a cycle a lot of people go through, but to different extremes. I think, obviously, you do have. I think everyone has that cycle of they're fine, they're happy, and then something hits them, or life in general just gets tough, or your energy just drops and goes. The extreme of that is CFS or ME, and you know, I'm sure there's loads of people out there that are probably not diagnosed with it. But it was a sustained period of 2 to 3 years.
Oh yeah, it
of
goes.
that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where I pray that I will never go back to that. It will always hang over me. It will always be a potential in my life to fall back into that trap. Trap is the wrong word. Fall back into that state.
I think in one, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because on one hand, it's a constant like devil on your shoulder or demon behind you, but then on the other hand, it's something that can nip at your heels to remind you, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this thing that you're supposed to do. Don't burn yourself out.
Exactly.
It can be a reminder to give yourself self-care.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, we've got a random camera. My apologies. Do you know what that is? That is my hand.
Oh.
That is auto tracking. Sorry
Zoom.
about that. Sorry about that. And I have no idea how long that was like that for. Oh well.
I don't think. I think it just occurred when you had that conversation
my hand
there.
went up there. Sorry about that. It's a fancy camera with auto tracking hand signals that I can't turn off.
Nice.
So just for proof, zone tracking is not clicked, is it?
No.
So it just did it itself. So I'm gonna have to remember to keep my hands to myself.
That's all right. We'll just glance at it now and again.
So before we're gonna move on into more of your experiences, because we've done the heavy.
Yeah.
And that is a heavy subject.
Indeed.
But I think you should take a huge positive from getting from that point to where you are now.
Thank you.
And
I do. Sorry, last thing I'll say on that is I have no regrets of that happening to me in my life. I don't know where I would have ended up if I didn't if I hadn't gone through those experiences. I have the benefit that a lot of people don't have, is that I'm actually grateful that I can get out of bed in the morning. There's not many people that have that
Perspective.
yes, that's the right word. Perspective in life. See, that shows you. I was on an early shift this morning, and sometimes when I'm tired, the words go. That's one of my symptoms.
Words
So there
no
you go.
good. Come speaking.
Exactly. But no, I'm very proud of without being too egotistical, where I've come from, and where I am now. And again, I'm happy that I'm able to get out of bed each day, man.
I mean, I don't think it'd be egotistical at all. I mean, to have the ability to do so, that's a hard thing for me as well. Like, it's only just this year where I've kind of allowed myself to go that I can be burnt out, and I can be.
Yeah.
My behavior completely changes when I'm ratty.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know. Well, no, bad day, whole day. But
No, I was agreeing because it also happens to me.
But you are a completely different person with it.
Yeah.
And I've also now had to take steps where, because I'm neurodivergent, like certain sounds, textures, lights, situations, I can't handle, or I don't like.
Yeah.
So I have to now take the stance of, no, I'm not doing that.
Not
or
exposing
no, or,
yourself
or I'm
to it,
not,
yeah.
or no, I'm not going to do this. I mean, one of the weird ones, and it sounds really small, right? So one of the things my brain will not let me do is I can't clean water bottles.
Okay.
Right? Don't ask me why. So this is more out of the realm of not so much a sensory issue. So there's a side to autism and ADHD where it's called executive function, right? So the best way I can describe it to someone that doesn't have these issues, right? Say if there was a hot plate, like a hob, right?
Aye.
There's a hob on, right?
David Hobb.
David Hobb. So there's a big hot plate, right? It's burning bright red. And I tell you, put your hand on it, right?
Aye.
Now, no matter how much you try, your body goes, no.
Aye.
Right?
I get
your
you.
brain goes, no.
Yeah.
Mine will do that for no reason.
Right.
And it can be as simple as stand up. Right? Now, a bit embarrassing, but there have been instances, and it happens quite a lot, where Susan's like, I'm really tired, so I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, all right, dear, you go to bed. I'm just going to go watch this program. Said program will finish. I will sit and do nothing until the morning.
Really?
I won't go to bed. I won't sleep.
Wow.
I won't move.
Wow.
Because my brain goes, no, we're not moving.
Aye.
And so imagine on a daily basis, like little things like put the dishes, no. Go wash the water bottles, no. And then it starts happening with food. Go, you're really, really hungry. Go eat, no.
Right.
It's awful. It's probably one of my worst ones. But I'm getting better at going. Like Susan will ask me to do something, or I've got a job to do, or I can't do something, and she's really understanding now when I go. I just say executive function, and she's like, "Okay, I get it." And it's a really weird thing, but it can really just mess up anything. But right, so we're going to do one of the cards before we move into the next topic.
Oh no.
So I have shuffled them. So these cards have awful questions on them, to which Ricky needs to answer. As I say, he gets one pass, and I don't know how many cards I've got, maybe about 10, but we're not going to go through all of them.
Okay.
But we're just going to hit them every so often.
I'm ready.
He's ready. So
Hit
the
me.
first question. Bit of a character study here, Ricky. Have you ever gone through a partner's phone?
Once. And
Yeah.
I was
Bastard.
about 19, and I'd gone upstairs to. I was staying at her house, and I'd gone upstairs to. I can't remember. I must have gone to use the toilet, or I must have went. I don't know. I nipped upstairs anyway, and I was aware that her phone was by her bed, and I went in, and unbeknown to me, she had left it in a face down position, and when I had looked through the phone, found nothing. By the way, because she was a very trustworthy human being, and I was just a very insecure, and still am quite an insecure human being. When I replaced it, the phone I put it back face up, right? Idiot. Absolute idiot. So later on, when we went upstairs to bed, she asked me if I'd gone through her phone, if I touched her phone because it was no, if I touched her phone because it was when she left it.
And
It
you
was
did the right thing and owned up to everything on the
at
spot
the
there, Ricky,
time.
didn't you?
At the time, no.
No,
But
no,
then,
really, I wouldn't have thought
I know,
that.
but honestly, Dave, I'll be straight up. I think within 10, 15 minutes, I did admit, yeah, I did. Because I felt so guilty for A, not trusting her when I should have, and B, then not confessing my sin of the
Diabolical act.
breaking of her trust. Yeah, I'm not proud of it. There's a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud
I'm
of.
pretty sure when we're in our teens, we've all done bad things.
Yeah, it's not something I would.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I will join you in
Go on.
confession. So I haven't.
You've got to do this for each question now.
Oh, I have to answer it as well. All right, do you know what? That's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's fair. I have never gone through anyone's phone, but when I was younger, I did have access to someone's email, and I went into the email account, and I mean, I think I read like 2 emails because the moment I had done it, I was like, "This is bad. I've done a bad thing." Now, admittedly, I think going into these sort of things makes things worse for insecure people because you see things. We all talk, and everybody talks shit about people they like and love behind their backs. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
And the reason we talk shit is because we don't want them to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So putting ourselves in a situation of
Yeah.
looking at these conversations out of context.
Yeah, context.
Yeah, and I took great offence
Right.
to what was said about me. And I sent like a message to the person at the time, letting them kind of know, like, and I did it in such a dick way where it was only information I would know. And then that person never spoke to me or saw me again. And yeah, I was bad. And rightfully so, I deserve not to be spoken to
The
again.
game's called Bad Choices for a reason,
Yeah,
evidently.
it was a game. Yeah, it's a card called Bad Choices, and that was a very bad choice. But yeah, so
As you say, we've all been there.
I would never ever do it again. It was
No.
ridiculous, and I think I'd give myself an ass whooping, my younger self, or something like that.
I think it's different. I think trust is really important in relationships, and I think you need to be able to have that trust with one another. But if I think you also need to be open to allowing your partner, if they wanted to do that, because you shouldn't have anything to hide.
No.
I know what you're saying. There are obviously times that we offload to people, but if there's anything that is that, if you're hiding anything that bad that you don't want your partner to see it, i.e. speaking to other people, cheating, etc., that I don't think the option should be off the table in a relationship, that you're comfortable enough to see each other's phones, but to actively, sneakily go through the phone
that's bad.
without your
I've
partner's
got a thing
knowledge.
where I've got nothing to hide in my phone, but I get annoyed if someone's over my shoulder and I'm writing a message.
I know what you're
really
saying. I know what you're saying.
But do you know what? One of the best explanations I've ever seen about trust in a relationship, and it's true, is that trust in a relationship is like a sticker, right? You put the sticker on, brand new, shiny out the box, just peeled, box fresh. And then you break the trust, right? So you rip that sticker off. Then, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll forgive you. Put the sticker back on, it's not going to stick the same again. It's always slightly less, and then it gets every time.
Yeah.
It just sticks less and less. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, that's a really, really good metaphor.
It is a good metaphor.
So I will save that and use that when somebody really needs it. I'm just, it's loaded.
Your sticker's just falling off now.
My sticker waiting to use it. It's falling off. Yeah. So right, we'll move on into a little bit of. We'll talk about the wrestling. I know we've kind of like how hard it is and difficult it is for us, but we're going to move into your character, RJ Cash. So when you originally were booked on shows, you were like a massive dickhead. It was basically a character. That's how I explained to you. Like, Dave, what's my character's motivation? You're a dickhead. Yeah. But I mean, what? You're a dickhead. One thing I will say from me personally is you have an amazing talent, that's very, very handy, but also drives me fucking nuts is that you have OCD with anything to do with wrestling.
I do.
Right? To the point where you overthink, right?
Always.
But it is also, it is handy at sometimes. So I think you're getting better at finding that fine level of compromise between being over and being like tentative.
Yeah.
So your character was a heel at a time, and I remember you just had like the shades and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you've got your gears Johnny Cash inspired because you're a huge Johnny Cash fan.
Correct.
So what kind of like brought the whole RJ Cash thing together?
So, I guess the guidance that you gave me in regards to being a dick was...
I also had years of experience to hand that down to.
But I really genuinely try not to be a dick in real life. So what I did was I guess...
Do you, Ricky?
I tried to channel the people who I thought were dicks. And, you know, and I don't like arrogant people, but I knew RJ Cash was going to be arrogant.
You turned around to me and told me you were just doing an impression of me. I'm going to flip this table.
No, I won't name any names. It certainly wasn't you.
But there is inspiration there.
Yeah, just people in my life that I've come across that I've thought, you know, I don't like that sort of human being. And if I don't like that sort of human being, then hopefully that'll come across to the audience. And I guess in films, and I'm trying to think of a particular movie character or TV character, but it was probably more so drawn from just the people like in high school. I wasn't a popular kid in high school, and then I never attended high school.
Preach, brother.
So I used to look at people and think, you know, you're just an arrogant fucker. And why did I go quiet on mother and loud on fucker?
I don't know. I've got accent.
I went fucker.
But I mean,
wrong way around.
No, but you're right though. Yeah. I mean, I actually never thought of seeing it that way, as to build your character on things that would irritate you.
Yeah.
See, I don't go that way.
No?
I try and I see that's a good way to do it, and I'll have to take that on board. But more way I do it is, I think more about creatively what I want it to be. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? More focused on,
Yeah.
I need to make it this. I never thought of taking influence of, do you know what really fucking annoys me?
Yeah.
And then using that.
Well, I flipped it as well, because obviously when I went face, then I actually thought, what do I
Face means being a goodie.
what do I think is cool? You know, what do I look at and think, you know, that guy's cool. He's got a bit of swagger about him, you know, he's cool.
Do you know what? I'm pretty sure at 37 we can't say the word cool.
We're not allowed to say that.
I'm pretty sure if we're sitting there going, do you know what I think's cool? If I rock up in my...
What's the Simpsons
if I
quote?
walk up with my chunky Dell...
I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. See, cool to us is a big chunky Dell. And whipping out the Nokia
that.
2210 going,
Playing Snake.
Check out my high score on Snake.
Yeah. No, so, but you know, when I went, so as I was heel, I did try and do and act in a way that I personally dislike. And now as I'm face, I'm a good guy. I'm trying to act more in a way that I think is. I did have a little kid come up to me recently, and he did say to me, he was maybe only about 5 or 6. He did say to me as I was leaving at the entrance, "Why are you so cool?" Right? And I said to him, I says, "Dude, I wasn't always cool." I says, "You'll be cool one day too. Don't worry." That was my life advice.
I'm sorry, I need video footage of this.
It happened.
Mister, why are you so cool? Well, little Jimmy, said my prayers and ate my vitamins and did good in school.
Honestly, it happened. It
Whipped out
happened.
Mentos packet.
Yeah, I made my year. You know, I'm like
I mean, that is one of the positives of it.
Oh yeah,
Is a huge thing. Is especially performing as families.
100%.
It's a family side.
And you know that when I was heel, I was all too ready to jump into that good guy character before it was appropriate to do so. And we discussed this at the time, because there was positive reaction for me, and I was buying into that. But you were right in holding that off, and in retrospect, I can see how when we did then transition, it was a bigger thing for that. But it was so hard as a bad guy to have kids booing you and kids thinking you're a horrible guy, you know. But it's
and you can get some some creative comments that get shouted out. Like, I mean, I think we're better now. Our audience understands that because it's community based. They understand that there is a line to what can be said, but there are sometimes, kids will be kids.
Yeah.
And lines
They're
can be
brutal,
crossed.
man. They can be brutal.
I mean, there's just some things that are said that shouldn't be said.
Yeah.
And as you say, when you're heel, it's great. It's great fun to an extent to be like, I'm a big baddie. I mean, your baddie was like a vocal, ego, full of themselves, whatever. And you were just, you were good at giving sass and being cheeky.
Sass.
And sass. And whereas at a moment, I've just transitioned into heel, and I'm a spectacle character. I'm horror.
Creepy.
And,
Yeah.
But I understand, and I've spoken with a lot of people over the years that have been heel for a long time, and it does drain the mental health because we know, right, it's performance, and we know that they know it's performance. But wow, the passion and fire and venom and just poison that gets thrown at you.
You have to have the right mindset. You have to accept that you're going out there to get those people to dislike you. You're not. It's not a reflection on who you are. It's a reflection on your performance. And the more they dislike you, the better job you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Which
and you've got to be given as well, because you've got to make the face the good guy, the other guy you work
exactly
with. You've got to make them look amazing. You've got to make all their moves look. It doesn't matter how good your moves are. Like, it's got to be like, all right, I got to make everything look good for them. I got to make sure that I got to make sure that they're selling t-shirts at the end of the night. And your job is to, it can be a thankless.
It can be. But that has the flip side on it too. Like when I was working Struan at the last show, I said to him, "Are we allowed to talk in?"
Yeah.
So I said to him,
"Kayfabe's dead on this."
One of the things that helped me as a heel was when I was working Logan Smith, Chrissy.
Yeah.
And I went to tap out with one hand, and Chrissy stopped me in a tag match, and I tapped out with the other hand.
Was I in a tag? I was in a tag with you.
Was you? Okay.
It was me. It was
Was
me.
it you had the commission? Submission on me.
The
Commission.
It was the spinny figure four thing.
Right.
I did wrong.
But one of the better things for me as a heel was the audience immediately turned and was like, "You tapped out. You tapped out," and that got a big reaction. And Chrissy knew that. Logan knew that. So when I was working Struan, I says to him, "Listen, you need to build your heel persona, your heel heat. One of the better ways to do that, and I've experienced this, is getting you to tap out, the audience to see that, and then have that heat on you, and then you going over anyway." So that was why I had him in the walls, and he tapped out. It was the whole idea was that the crowd would then, it would grow his stature as a heel. So as a babyface, as a face, I'm always trying to return that favor for the heel. The heel's trying to make you look good. You've taught us that you have to make each other look good. The face does that for the heel as well, and then ultimately, hopefully, the story that you're telling is as a success and gets over to the crowd. It's the story that you want to get over, not you.
No.
It's not about you. It shouldn't be about you.
No. And that's a difficult thing to separate, because a lot of people do wrestling come in and go like, I want to get my stuff in, I want to get my fancy moves in, I want to get my moment. And I think it's very difficult for people to have that kind of like to remember that you're a cog in a big machine. And some people don't like that. I mean, that's fine. I'm not gonna, again, I'm not yucking anyone's yum. But you were also at one point, when you mentioned about like how you wanted to transition, or you were heel, but you were getting face reactions, but they were getting too popular. And you had this like, we did have a thing for a good couple of months where I gave you your booking, and you gave me job face, Ricky. You gave me job face. Job face. For
unintentional, but I'll admit. That was likely the.
So I'm going to explain what job face is for people who don't know what it is. Job face.
So when you do a big jobby.
No. Job face is the worst aspect that I have as a coach, and any creative idea in wrestling. Okay, so I might be sitting someone down and be like, "Listen, this is the plan for the next 3 months," and sometimes it might be a great thing, and other times it might be, look, we just haven't got a lot for you, so we're going to do this. But a lot of the time I think it's a good thing, not the story. I think that the opportunity that somebody's receiving is good. So job face is when they look me right in the eyes, and then I get this. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's job face, because I don't understand why anyone thinks that they're not showing what they really think.
I in particular am not good at hiding my emotion.
But,
If
but
I
that's
feel something,
it's universal, Ricky.
yeah,
It's universal.
okay,
Job
yeah.
face is universal. Everyone does the same one, and it's just they do the same thing. And to them at the time, it's like, okay, I'm hiding my complete disdain for your idea and how crap it is, and it really just says I don't want to do this.
So I tell you, and we'll talk about this because it actually turned out to be a great opportunity. The end of season 1, you didn't have anything for me for the last show, and you said
yeah.
you wanted maybe to do a segment, and I was like, I did feel disheartened. I'll be honest, I felt disheartened. That segment turned into be a really fun part. It
Was it the Santa
evening
one?
with it
The
was
Santa
the first
one?
one.
Oh, the gifts.
Yeah, the gifts.
Yeah, you ran with that though.
Yeah,
you ran with that.
That was one of my favourite moments, and it just shows you what can happen if the booker doesn't necessarily have anything for you, and he gives you that opportunity. It's up to you to grab that opportunity and do the best with what he does give you. And that was a lesson at that point too. And I hear, listen, I've given you job face since then, I'm sure, and I probably will give you job face again. But. Yeah, no, listen, I appreciate it's not, you're trying to keep, at least during the first couple of seasons of Combat League, you're trying to keep 12 people happy, including, the bottom of the card and the top of the card, although we try not to treat our shows like that.
Yeah, everybody's got a reason what they're doing.
Yeah.
Even if even in a position where, at the moment I've given up the overall creative control, which is because my mental health was plummeting with it. I did it for 11 years, and it's one of the best things. And I picked somebody that knows what they're doing, has
Very
a
much
wealth
so.
of knowledge.
Absolutely.
And as much as they don't like compliments, every one of us know that you're the person for the job, and we'll do as we're told. But what was my point? I just went into this beaming of.
Yeah, do you want to just spend 10 minutes complimenting Mr. Dumbar?
Yeah, we're talking about Mr. Dunbar, Daddy Dunbar, Daddy Dunbar. Do you know what? I'm going to take the moment, and I think you'll agree with me that Mr. Dunbar is a legend in
He is.
UK wrestling.
Oh, 100%.
Absolute legend. Wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I will be the first to say he's not always right. He's not always right, but you always listen. Make sure you always listen. Amazing performer.
For me, just an amazing human being.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. I think that you initially maybe had some characters up here that, without naming any names, because I don't really know, but but what you have done is you've whittled it down to just really, really good people. And I feel like the group we have is like the guys that come up from Glasgow are fantastic. I love Alex, Fraser. There's some really really good people. Yeah, but Mikey, Glenn Dunbar is to me an absolute gentleman of a man. A really warm and loving and just a brilliant human being. I really do. I can't speak highly enough of him. I don't know if I've said that to his face, but I really, really do appreciate him.
He hates praise. He hates it. He's so modest. He's so modest. He's so modest. He's like, shut up. But he is.
He's a great guy. Really great guy.
And I've not, again, it might be the wrong thing to say on a public podcast, but I've always, sort of, when talks about Dunbar come up, I know he doesn't want to run a school. I get that. And I know he doesn't want the stresses of it, but if there's anyone that should be.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you get 10 minutes or even 5 minutes and, ask for feedback or what do you think of this?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Dunbar on a professional side of things, but see, personal as well. I could listen to talk all day. Like, he says this himself, we are like a pair of old men. Like, we sit and watch. Like, one of the things we love doing is watching, subpar wrestling.
So Conor Rose matches.
Oh, starting to, you gotta get one. Everybody gets one.
Conor Rose matches, they put you to sleep, man.
Well, they did one time to you, didn't it? Like, you can deal with, you've got to probably work him again at some point. So
I'll get a receipt or 10 for that.
10 follow-away receipts and 3 cannonballs. But
100%.
yeah, like, just getting to talk to him and pick his brain.
We've both got brown on our nose now. You must think we're wrangling for something.
Yeah.
We're trying to get I don't know. Trying to get to the top of the card.
Well,
man.
do you know what we have to do now? We have to get next time. We have to give him job face just to level it out. Just a good dose of job face.
Aye.
But
I can't wait to work him. I really can't. So
have you not?
No. So we were supposed to have a singles match on the second episode, the second show of the first year of Combat League. It was supposed to be me against Dumbar in a singles match, and obviously COVID happened, and that never happened. And I was so excited at that time to learn, to be under that learning tree, man. And now here I am a couple of years later, and like I feel I've progressed a lot since then, but I'm still as excited to be under that learning tree.
Yeah.
To work Dumbar on a one-on-one scenario. I'm really I am massively, probably as, and not only the fact that it's a title match, but actually it's Glenn Dumbar I'm stepping in that ring with, and I am probably as nervous performing with him and meeting his level and stepping up to his to the bar that Dumbar sets.
Dumbar.
Yeah, I mean, I am nervous for that. I really want to do it justice. I want to do him justice, and I really, really do hope that I can meet his expectations and his level.
Do you know? I'm probably out of turn for speaking for him, but if I know Dumbar, he's just gonna want you to do the best that you can.
Yeah.
But the main thing is have fun.
Aye.
As long as you have fun, have a good time, be safe, protect each other, and as long as you've got a body of work that you go backstage with, that A, you're happy with, but B, you can work upon more.
Aye. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's all top performers want out of someone. That's a lot with learning about like what to do and when with Dunbar. Like he's really quite particular on that side. Like, but I do have a secret shame.
Go on.
Which I suppose is a bit too revealing, but I did say that the whole point of doing this podcast thing was to open up a bit more.
100%, yeah.
So he's probably well aware of this, even though we haven't actually discussed it. I've not worked Dunbar outside of a tag match years ago. The closest that I've worked Dunbar was the final, but I wasn't proper that was a quick spot last year.
You have never had a one-on-one match with Glenn Dunbar?
I haven't had a one-on-one match with Glenn Dunbar, a proper one-on-one. The first time I worked Dunbar was Pride of the Highlands tournament in Wick.
Right.
So you're talking 2016, 2017, maybe.
Okay.
Something about that. And it was the second round of a tournament, so that's the quick one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I told you a story. I've said it. I've told it a lot in class and with different trainees. But so and this is why he's great, right? So at this point, I didn't know him very well, and he's like, right, okay, we're gonna do this. Just because it's your second match tonight and you've got to go on to the third, we'll keep it simple. We don't want you doing too much, so we'll go in, no plan too much, bish bash bosh. We'll do a bit of back and forth, this and that, and then I'm going to put you down into the middle of the ring, and then I'm going to go for the elbow. Right? And he goes, after I hit the elbow, we'll go to the finish. That's all I've got in my head is, right, so whenever he puts me on the floor in the middle of the ring and goes for the elbow, that's the finish, right? I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm fine. Let's go for it. So he goes out first, and then my music hits, and I had a match prior, so I'm like, oh, coming out selling the ribs.
You've got to.
Now, I think I got through the curtain and about 2 steps forward. At the time, we had these pop-up banners either side. What I was not aware of is that Mr. Dunbar had decided during his entrance to not get in the ring. He got in and around the back of this banner.
Okay.
How I didn't notice when I came in, by the way, I didn't just look and go, why is he not in the ring? But I was too busy selling these ribs. I took 2 steps forward and I just got the hardest clout from behind me. And I'm not joking. I almost shat my lycra. I was like, oh my God.
You're not expecting it at that point?
No. And I went flying. I mean, he was safe as houses about it.
Yeah.
It was like a push, but I was like, oh my God, what the... Oh. And then he just picks me up and proceeds to just whop me. And then I'm like, okay, right, get your stuff in. Buff, we're doing a bit of work. And he's like magic calling and going, hit me back. And I'm going to cut you off. Put your knee up. All good. And I'm thinking, right, okay, right. So now we're getting to the quick bit. He picks me up. He slams me in the middle of the ring. I'm like, here we go. Here comes the finish. He comes off the rope. Doesn't he do the elbow? Tells me to move. Like, all right, okay. So now we're out of the plan.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay. And then we work a little bit more. And he puts me back in the middle again on purpose. And then he goes, move out way again.
Right.
It's like, Mike, you said to finish was the elbow. Come
Just
on,
end
man.
it.
And he kept taking me out, moving me around. And I know, straight after I'd done it, I had a good bit of fun moment. But after it, I was like, I know what he did. He pushed me out of my comfort zone.
Aye.
He set me up, and he he put me in this warm, safe plan. But he pushed me,
Yeah.
and he got a better performance out of me.
Yeah.
So my shame is that I think I had a tag match with him, and then as I've gotten older, my work's better than it was then, way better. But as you mentioned, Mr. Glass, I'm not that bad. The injuries I have at the moment, my tilted hip is awful.
Yeah.
But I've never, even though I've booked this thing for years, even though I run the school, even though I passed down bangers of guidance in that classroom, I don't think I'm good enough to have a one-on-one with Glenn Dumar.
Oh, dude. See, that's adding the pressure. That's very much adding the pressure.
But I think that's more. I'm accepting that that's a failing on my part. I think you can go in. See, this is the thing. Even though I'm in, not wrong to say, but even if I'm considered in higher positions, I think you're going to go in and have an absolute belter one. Now you're going to have a good time. You're going to learn a lot. Great. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. But for myself, I'm just like, I can't. I'm going to go in. I'm going to bomb. And if he ever watches this, he's probably going to come from in and book me into it.
I don't agree with you.
Oh no, I know what he would agree with me. I know what I'm saying is complete poppycock, but
It's your mindset.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the other side of it as well is I would rather give that opportunity to my trainees than me.
I appreciate that, and you've never been cocky or overly arrogant in your own ability. So I appreciate what you're saying, and we both hold Dumbar in such a high regard. That yeah, I think we all feel that like that because he is one of the best performers that Scotland's ever produced. In my opinion.
Like he would laugh at me saying this, and he'd probably be really mad about it. But I've always thought Dumbar should be like a performance center.
Oh yeah,
level
100%. I agree.
Like he will not. He'll be like, it's happening. He's probably going to clout me when he sees me. But I genuinely, he's got that much knowledge, and he's a smart dude. And as you say, one of the warmest, kindest folk.
Yeah, Kieran.
He's just. I mean, and he does hand magic. He does card magic.
I didn't know this.
Remember his promo? All the card
of course, yeah. So he did. Sorry, yeah.
Come on. And
right.
he's telling me about this. He's got a fabled lockup box. It's got like old He-Man figures and everything in it. I want in this lockbox, sir. I want in it. You keep bringing it up. I want to see it. I suppose I have to take a trip down to see it.
Glasgow.
But now I think it's time for another card. Like
yeah, we've probably bigged up Glenn Dumbar.
I know.
We've
solidified our booking. For
yeah,
this.
Indeed. Yes.
It's either going to be utter trash as a punishment, or right.
Right.
What we got?
Another bad choice.
This is an easy answer for me. It's not a bad one. Have you ever been cut off at a bar?
If I have, I don't recall it. So it's entirely likely.
Do you know what? That makes a lot of sense.
It's entirely likely. I know I've witnessed Conor Rose being cut off at a bar many times. But myself, I'll say yes because I probably have.
See, that's going to be a question where if I ever comes back up and I'm speaking to like Conor Rose or someone else,
he's going to say the same.
Ricky's been cut off loads of times.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to say the same about me.
I've never been cut off at a bar.
No,
I
can't imagine.
Now, this is the thing that everyone keeps. So I don't drink, which you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a personal choice.
Yeah.
But I did drink.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, I drank like a fish.
Yeah.
And it does kind of it doesn't bother me overall, but I do get a bit irked when people look at me and think, "Oh, Dave's boring. Dave's don't want to go out and have a good time." Alcohol doesn't bother me. Other people, that's fine. My issue is that obviously I had traumatic past with alcohol and whatnot with my mother, but I had a good time. I was a teenager as well. I drank to excess. I had amazing nights. I've had the stupid 4 o'clock sitting in Tesco's car park. Oh man, it's you and me against the world. Oh, you know,
That
you
was
think
me. That was me in Danger last weekend.
you think you have these conversations that are life changing, and if you ever record them and play them back, it'd be like,
Yeah.
what the. But yeah, no, I've never been caught off at a bar. I've never been in that situation.
I appreciate what you're saying. I think this came up recently when we were going to be going to. Did we go? We did. No, we didn't.
No, you lot didn't go.
No,
I
you
went.
and Susan went.
Yeah.
We were going to be going to Glasgow, and I had mentioned straight up that because I felt like you had a difficult relationship with alcohol in the past and your life experiences, that I didn't want to make that difficult for you. That Connor Rose and I would be partaking in alcohol to
Like fish.
yes, indeed. And I just didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable about that. Which at the time, obviously, Susan discussed it with yourself, and we discussed it as the four of us, and you explained that it wasn't an issue for you.
No, because I don't like being around drunk people, but it doesn't mean like some drunk people are quite jolly. But I do have a certain cut-off limit.
Yeah.
But if that was a situation, it's up to me to remove myself from that situation at the age I'm at. I mean, again,
I appreciate
it's
that,
not
yeah.
up to me to go, you boys can't drink because I'm coming. No.
Yeah.
Again, the thing I always say is, I don't want to yuck someone's yum. If that's what you enjoy doing, that's what you enjoy doing. It's not up to me to go, no. The only rule that I have is that it doesn't come into my house.
Yeah.
Which
is absolutely fair. I went a year without drinking myself at one point when I was pretty settled down, and I stopped going out pretty much. I was a hermit. So I know what it's like. There's no actual need for it in life. I think it's a social thing for me, and I'm glad that I don't have that attachment to it, that I can easily go a sustained period of time without a drink.
I think if we do another one of these, I think one of the topics should be about the alcohol.
Yeah.
Because I think you've got two different ends of the spectrum. You enjoy a drink.
Yeah.
Not saying, to excess, but I don't at all.
Yeah,
and
no.
I think getting different perspectives on it is a good sort
100%, and we both have different experiences and perspectives. My dad really likes a drink, so I also have that sort of background too, not to your extent at all, but yeah, that might be a topic for another day.
Yeah, because I think it would cover a lot of. I think a lot of the stuff about the geographic.
Yes,
would come into it a fair bit.
Absolutely,
which is always. I think it always comes up where we are and what is here and whatnot.
And what isn't here, more likely.
Isn't here.
Yeah.
So going back to training and wrestling and that, we've covered your character and that. Now I remember this, and it's not anything to do with when you joined. So did you or did you not shave half your damn head? For like an hour or 2 hours in a ring, my ring actually, before I even met you.
Well, it wasn't specifically for an hour or two in the ring. So I have no shame in admitting that I am a massive, or used to be a massive mark. I saw a mark in wrestling terms is a
Mega fan that's
over keen fan.
An over keen. Well, no, I know an over keen fan, but it's more somebody that's passionate about wrestling and doesn't know much about the inner workings.
I would put myself in that bracket when I was young, certainly. And then, so I tell you what happened. I stopped watching wrestling when we all sort of stopped watching wrestling. After The Rock left for Hollywood, this product got stale. I think Cena had just came into it maybe when I stopped watching it. And then my mates and I just sort of drifted away from it. And when I moved into my own house with Riley's mum, and I think she was pregnant at the time, because we got pregnant with Riley pretty quickly. We had Sky, and I decided, I'd always said to my mates, I said, if The Rock came back to wrestling, I would start watching wrestling again. I think I missed it. I did miss it, but I didn't keep up with. I didn't read the Bleacher Reports and the spoilers and the dirt sheets. I didn't read any of that. I always just said to my mates, if The Rock ever came back, I would start watching wrestling again. So anyway, it was a build up to WrestleMania, and I'd recorded the Raw just to.
Just when The Rock hosted it.
Well, funnily enough, they were going to announce the host of
Right,
Raw.
yeah,
So the
yeah.
first Raw I had watched in probably 10 years at that point. And I remember, and I didn't read the spoilers, didn't know what was coming, and they cut all the lights and they were announcing the WrestleMania host, and there was a flash of lightning that came on, and I did this little thing to myself that I went like that, and then I thought to myself, oh, what I did there was a bit like The Rock when he's sniffing, because I was like, I wonder who it is.
I'm sorry, I just think of Karen Dumbar with the I smell a shite.
Right, well, you could also say I did that. And honestly, The Rock's music hit. And as a growing up human being, I was immediately cast back to my childhood of, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And I could not believe, and I messaged my mates immediately, like, I've always said that if The Rock, and the very first Raw that I've watched as an adult, that here The Rock is. And then I really did get back into it. So that WrestleMania, I decided that I was going to have all my mates round and watch WrestleMania in the middle of the night. So I kicked Riley's mum out to her mum's and invited my mates round, Connor Rose.
I ain't gonna fly with my wife.
No, I know.
Susan, could you just leave this this house while I just invite a bunch of people?
Maybe one of the reasons we're not together anymore. She was fine with it, to be honest. And we joked about dressing up, and it then became an annual tradition.
I've seen some of these videos, and I've
No,
seen some of these.
we're not allowed to talk about those. We're not allowed to talk about those. Connor Rose will kill me. So we had fancy dress WrestleManias at my house for I think maybe 5 years on the trot. And the one you're specifically talking about was, I think it was hang on now, I need to think about what I dressed up as each year. It was either the third or the fourth year. So I challenged everybody to, instead of coming as a character of wrestling, come as your own wrestler. Come as somebody who you would be if
your
decided.
creation, yeah.
Indeed. So Connor Rose came as, was he General?
Was it not Major Danger?
Major Danger,
yeah.
And he had Garth with him, who was General Girth.
That was it.
Major Danger and General Girth, and they were a tag team, and they were pretty much Cesaro and Jack Swagger, the Real Americans, but they were
the Red Berets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and there was a couple other people there. Who was that? Anyway, I tell you, Lad Chapman was there. Was he there at that one? I can't remember.
didn't see any photos of that.
No, Lad Chapman's been at a few. He did Grandmaster Sexy one year, which they're again photographic. I'm not encouraging people to look this stuff up, by the way. Because
but see, even I was like, I mean, I know we are the same age, but see, even at age I was like, I think I've grown more, so I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, if you're having a good time, that's fine, yeah, but I cringed hard on some of that stuff.
No, here, listen. But to me, I have no shame.
I know you have no shame, because you know what's coming. I know you have no shame.
What's coming?
So, which one was it again, Ricky? So, if for people don't
throw me under the bus here, Dave.
For people that don't know, there was this huge, and I mean, it was in a Daily Record and everything.
Oh no, you're not allowed to talk about this.
There's this huge thing in Wick where, I mean, it was a stupid thing to do. People dressed up as gollywogs, and I don't think they were trying to do any harm with it, because gollywogs were classed as creatures for Robinson's Jam originally. Was it Robinson?
Wet Gala.
Yeah, Wet Gala. Somebody, it went mental. There was a police manhunt looking for these people, and I don't think it was racial intent. It was
a few years after I had gone down the street.
Yeah. That's where I'm going. So, huge police manhunt. Papers look about everything, right? But this man here goes full blackface body.
No, full black body.
You went face.
And face, yeah.
Yeah, aye, right? Blackface, black body.
But not in. It wasn't intended in any way as a disrespectful thing.
And you were trunks, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
Pants.
walking about in your pantaloonies.
Yeah, my whole legs were black, and I went into the pub down the street on a Sunday.
Booker T.
Booker T.
Booker T. Sucker. Sugar ducky
Well,
quack quack.
Connor Rose is rolling in his bed right now.
So, how is it that you did that and there was no police?
There was nothing said. I think it was probably a good 5 years or something prior. Like, listen, I'm not justifying it.
I think you're talking like how many years ago now?
Yeah, you are now talking about 15 years
Right.
ago.
So 15 years ago, the difference between how that's viewed and how it is now. I mean, you wouldn't do it now.
No, I wouldn't do it now.
Times have changed.
But I really do want to stress that
There was no racial intent.
No, there wasn't.
No.
What I wanted was to give a realistic representation.
You were dressed as a character.
Yeah, representation
Yeah.
of Booker T, and it was because I admire Booker T. It's because he was one of my favorite wrestling characters, not because I wanted to racially degrade him.
No.
And yeah, listen, I thought I was an accurate tone at the time.
An accurate tone. Choice words.
Yeah, but listen, we all do stupid things.
Absolutely.
It wasn't the only time I was down the pub in my pants. I also did Wade Barrett in my pants and CM Punk in my pants as well.
Shouting in the end, and can I have some pakora, please?
I did, yeah. Could I have some pakoras, please? In the Indian with my gavel, because he was doing the Bad News Barrett gimmick. So again, I was a massive mark.
No.
What you specifically asked me there, though,
The Victor
was,
Vegas.
Yeah. So yeah, when we did our own characters, Pilkey was wrestling for you at the time, and he had arranged with Dave to get access to the ring.
It was like a WrestleMania day thing.
Yeah. So we always started early in the afternoon, and we just tried to last until WrestleMania, and it would always devolve. I listen. I bought over £100 worth of drink, food. You know, I really put, because it's my once a year blowout at that time, because we had Riley. I wasn't. I was rarely out, so once a year I had this big blowout, and I really put on I decorated the house. I did everything. I built a commentary table. Have you seen?
I've seen that video.
So I went to a lot of effort because
it was a very convincing commentary.
It was.
I
had my OCD, man. I had to make it perfect.
Really, really spot on.
So yeah, I tried to put on a good time for my friends, and that year, Pilkey got us access to the ring. For you allowed us in. Big Doug was there, and yeah, that year I was dressed as my own wrestling character at the time, which was a guy called Victor Vegas. I did shave half my head. I also shaved half my beard, so I was perfectly symmetrical. So the idea was that Victor Vegas was a yin-yang sort of character, that he was both a heel and a face at the same time, good guy and bad guy.
I just hurt my soul that coming out your mouth.
Yeah, I know. Listen, again, big mark. And I actually...
It's not that, it's more just the psychologist, like, he's both?
Yeah, but you like, I thought it would, and I actually pitched it to you.
To be fair, it's before you started training. So.
Well, I pitched it to you, and you were like, I don't think that's going to work, man.
I remember that, yeah.
And I was like, you know what, fair enough. That's fine. But I don't, my hair grows so damn fast that honestly, within a week, I was back to this.
How long ago was Monster Mash?
A week and a half ago.
A week and a half ago, you shaved that down the mutton chops.
I did.
You had a full beard again.
Yeah, again, yeah. I actually, what I had to do was take my beard off pretty much completely, because obviously I couldn't keep the mutton chops like that. So I had to shave, and now I'm full beard again. So,
but yeah, I remember seeing the photos when I was sent.
Was it 2.5 weeks or a week and a half? Maybe it's 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, 2.5. But I remember seeing the photos of folk in the ring. I remember Danger and whatnot, and then I just remember like everyone was kind of like, I mean, it was good costumes, but it was lads going out for a drink costumes. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it's like half shaved.
I put a lot of effort in.
The face paint was really good. It was all skull face paint.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before Darby Allin.
Yeah, so he stole that from me. I had half my face, the bald part of my face was a skull, and the other side was me normally with my hair and my beard. And I cut a promo that I started facing this way, so the camera could only see the normal part of my face.
Do you know what's amazing?
I turned backwards.
That mic's not going to pick up anything you just said.
Oh, sorry.
You turned around.
Sorry, I cut a promo that I was facing a certain way that you could see the hairy part of my face, and then I turned round, and I actually still think it holds up as a good
a good look.
A good look, yes.
Maybe CZW 2000.
Yeah. It's not something that I think now that I am
Well,
a wrestler, it's not something I feel like would work.
I mean, striking image-wise, would
Yeah.
be. But it goes to show again how the reason I brought it up was it was a roundabout way of coming back to how your OCD at times can be good because you put a lot of effort into presentation. When I've tried, I was about to say when I tried to perform matches with you, as if they were terrible. But when I've performed matches with you, we've, I mean, you've always been good where you come off a throttle and you let me get a structure,
Mm-hmm.
and then you kind of go like, right, okay, so what makes sense for the story, which you've always been really good with. So much so that I think that we'd be amiss if we didn't bring this up. So you were heel at this point, and I was face. And then we didn't necessarily plan it straight away, but you were cutting promos on me, and you're quite scathing with your heel promos. You don't hold back. You fire something at me, and then we go backstage and go, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's fine, it's fine." But then we went in the route of like it wasn't intentional, but we did like a mental health storyline.
We did an angle,
where because my character arc was that I was nuts at one point, and then I was professionally and personally burnt out, and I couldn't continue playing that character at that point. I didn't have the energy going back again to how it's a mental drain. So I was like, I just need to be me in the ring. So we did that, and then you used it
As a great human being that I am, I used Dave's
mental
burnout
health
and his
burnout.
mental health issues but I did ask you.
You did, yeah.
I presented it to you in a way that I thought, again, going back to somebody I hate would be somebody that doesn't understand mental health.
Yeah, and that's the way you played it.
Yeah.
Was that you played it as somebody that was ignorant to it, and
Exactly.
you weren't just mean about it. You were like, "Oh, like you email." You went down the route of get over it.
Yeah.
Which probably using personal experiences
100%.
of your enemy, whereas just get over it.
And that really hurt me at the time, to be honest, when I was young and I was going through these things.
Oh, it's scary. It's cut deep.
To have people tell you get on with it and shout at you, and I've never forgotten that, and I genuinely did think the way to get good heel heat would be to be that character, to be that person that says, get on with it. And listen, I never wanted to cross the line.
I don't think we crossed the line.
Well, other people would say otherwise.
Well. To be fair, we only had one complaint.
The first ever.
No,
the only ever.
I think it was one complaint we had to do with the storyline, and they really were not happy with it. But how do I word this diplomatically? I don't think the complaint had much merit. I would listen to anyone that gave me a concise reason as to why they find it offensive.
Mm-hmm.
The reasons that were given to me were actually the indication I was getting was that person was very, very close to the RJ character's view.
I see.
And it was more a case that it wasn't so much the subject matter, it was the fact that we'd bring it up at all.
I see.
And that it was a dirty thing that you shouldn't talk about.
But then I actually think that so I'm a big advocate of talking it, and this is one of the reasons that I wanted to come on this and do this with you, is because I am a big advocate of talking about mental health. I think it's really important, especially for men, but not only men, all human beings need to be able to have a space that they can talk in a way that they express themselves. There's so many people that struggle to express themselves. So listen, again, it's something that at the time, I felt it was appropriate. Again, I don't think we crossed any lines. Would I do it again? Possibly, if I was.
Do you know what? I would do it again, and I would probably do it better and lean harder into it, because we only continued that on for a little bit, and then it got cut.
Yeah. The empty jar, one of the Christmas gifts on the end of the season.
And you didn't tell me you were doing that one, but I did.
There was an empty jar, and I put a sticker on it that said Arkham's Happy Thoughts, and the kid the child or adult in the audience, can't remember which, opened it, and they were looking at it because it was an empty jar, and I lifted it up and I says, look, it's an empty jar, Arkham's Happy Thoughts. Oh, it's because he doesn't have any. And gave it back to the crowd member.
That whole segment, that promo was scathing.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Yeah. Well, I don't like to.
I think I think because it's such a big subject, I think what we should do again is when we get you back on,
Yep.
I think we'll make the main focus a mental health topic because you've got experiences with it.
Yep.
I've got experiences with it. I mean,
Yep.
everybody has, but I think, we have stories to tell there. And
Yeah.
it's an important thing to you and it's an important thing to me. So I think maybe we'll make the next one. Wow, that's shaping up to good. I've got alcohol and mental health, right?
A great mix. Fantastic mix.
Great.
Yeah, no, listen, I'd be 100% up for that. And we all know alcohol is the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. That's another Simpsons quote.
Debatable. So now I'm going to whip out another card.
Go for it.
I'm going to whip out another card. So I'm going to be fair and shuffle them. I looked at that one. I half read it, but right. So let's see what we got. Right. I hope it's a good one because the last one let me down a bit.
Oh, well.
Again, not bad, but a little bit apt considering what we were just talking about. Have you ever worn a slutty Halloween costume?
Oh, absolutely. So I've actually lost count now of the times that I've dressed up as a woman.
What? You've ruined my wall because you were in my house downstairs and you were getting dressed for a Eurovision Song Contest. So you did I'm terrible. I can't remember. You remember the name?
Conchita Wurst.
Right. You dressed up as Conchita, and it was again with the OCD and the effort you went to. Amazing.
I don't do things by half.
No, you don't. You borrowed one of my wife's bras.
I did.
Weird experience watching a man in my living room putting my wife's bra on. And then you sat at the table and you were putting the liquid eyeliner on and you'd finished and you'd left. And it was like a day or two later, I looked at my wall and I was like, what is all up my wall? Liquid eyeliner was flicking all up my wall.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's still there now.
Oh, sorry, man. I didn't know that. That's news to me.
Tried to get it out and it was like, oh, no.
Apologies. I wasn't putting that on myself, though. I think Susan must have been putting it on for me.
No.
There's no way. I can't do liquid eyeliner.
You were doing the first one and then you asked.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
So
probably.
Can't blame my wife.
And my expertise at makeup isn't fantastic. But yeah, I have no shame. I did the Freddie Mercury in I Want to Break Free video at the Not Monster Mash this year, but the year prior. I almost like the shock factor. If I'm honest, this is a bigger topic, but I feel like, and you probably agree with me to a degree as well, men are so limited in what we get to wear, clothes-wise. We get T-shirts or shirts, and we get jeans or joggers, right? Women have a whole range of clothes that we don't get to wear.
Do you know, on that note, right, I absolutely love some of the designs and things. Like, obviously, I wouldn't wear this, but see, like, women's wrestling clothes and the designs, especially, like, the Japanese.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, all we get is, do you want to put some pants on, a singlet or some tights?
Yeah.
There's not a lot we can be creative with, but some of this stuff, like the textures, the materials. I mean, obviously, I'm quite flamboyant with my clothes anyway.
But you are, and I respect that of you. I really do. I'm not generally, but I do like to.
You like to be smart.
I do try and be as presentable as possible. I always have been. But for on the odd occasion, getting to wear a dress or a skirt or something just for the crack, I enjoy that. Now, listen, I'm not saying that I would do it on a regular basis. I've maybe done it 7-8 times in my life, dressed as a woman for whatever purposes. Honestly,
I think that needs to be a generalised.
I've done Freddie Mercury.
I need to ask other people, how many times have you dressed up as a woman in your life, and then we start correlating. Because I'm going to call you up and go, Ricky, I think we need to have a chat.
Listen, it's just good fun.
It is.
And I don't take myself too seriously. I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I have no shame, and I will do that for the
you have to be comfortable if you're going to be a wrestler.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
But no, I mean, on the note of like when you dressed up, so I don't know if the video will have gone out or not because I'm batch recording, but I think it's in what is technically the awful, terrible introduction video I've done. But I tend to go and talk about the Monster Mash, and I do actually sing your praises a lot. I'm mentioning how each year you're the one to beat because your costumes at each Monster Mash have been. I mean, even the simplistic one, the Elvis one, was so funny.
Yeah.
And it was so good. And then you did Freddie Mercury, which I've put footage in that video.
Oh, have you?
So you see it as I'm talking about it. And then the Wolverine this year was, when you said initially like, "Oh, it'll be Wolverine," I was like, right. So I thought, right, he's going to be jeans, vest, top, that one.
Right.
Everyone just goes for that, and I
Yeah.
thought you were going to have like claws or something. But then when I heard you discussing like you were doing the thing where Liam with the Deadpool stuff, I was like, he's not wearing the blue and yellow suit. And then when I saw you come out the bathroom with it, I was like, oh, it was so good.
It's a passion of mine, dressing up. It really is. I love it. I love his, like, it's part of that. And this is why wrestling is such a brilliant thing, and I love it as well. I like stopping being me for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And just being somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And adopting a different persona, look. And I will go to extremes. I will shave half my head for it. I will shave in the middle of my beard for it. I will wear an
Commitment for your art.
Commitment, yeah. Because I don't like. I do love dressing up. I always have. And I really do love the escapism in there.
Yeah. Camera moved at some point. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Is it more focused on you?
But no, I mean, again, I think it goes back to your mindset. It's not a joke saying it's an OCD thing, but you do take a lot of pride in what you do, and it shows in your costumes. But next year you need to have a really shit one, because I mean, nobody knows how to outdo it. Although I will say this: was there a part of your costume that came off? Like the pieces?
Several parts.
Right, because I got thrown out and I landed on it,
Oh.
and it had studs.
Yeah, there was two shoulder.
Polars.
Yeah, which I was going to leave on, but really quickly this one came off.
Yeah.
So I ripped the other one off. I'd already taken the two arm thingies off, because I thought if I forearm a lot,
The studs would go in your own arm.
So I thought, right, screw that, I'll take those off. I had the gloves on, but I had the shoulder things on, but they came off. So I ended up with just the vest and the belt.
I went flying out of the ring and I landed on the floor. I was like,
they did have studs.
I was like, I've landed on someone's stuff or something, and I was like, I rolled over. I was like, well, it's bright blue, so I'm going to assume it was to do with.
But I still have every piece of that costume. So
good. I was worried because I was like, I hope no one's going to nick it.
Yeah, same.
Here's a question though: when are you going to use it again?
No comment.
Oh, you have plans? Do we have plans?
No, I was alluding to potentially in the.
Here's an idea. Here, you said that you needed to freshen up your look.
Oh yeah. Well, so still, I don't want any spoilers going out here. But Jack said something to me backstage, and he goes, "RJ Cash suits yellow."
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody uses yellow.
No, it's a good color.
And I do want to listen. I've had that gear my whole wrestling career now. I need to look into getting new gear.
Billy Strachan hates your gear.
Yes, yeah. And listen, I'm sure there are people out there that do not like the black and white. There's reason and purpose for it. The reason and purpose is the whole yin yang thing. Johnny Cash is the man in black.
No, it made sense. The whole thing made sense.
But I think if you don't understand the reasoning behind it, I can understand how that gets lost in the shuffle.
I got it straight away because it was similar to it's one of the albums, the black and white album.
Yeah, and not only that, but the design. I purposely,
yin yang curve.
Yeah, I asked the Vic Stitch to do that design, and she did it to perfection. So yeah, I am considering. Well, I am planning new gear, and I am considering investing a little bit of color into it.
I think you could now. I think you could put a bit of color into it. I think it would pop. But
he said the bits at the side as well, because I think there was black bits down the side, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Jack. I will take that on board."
Yeah. Jack's a good one to ask.
Jack's another one who's just an absolute brilliant human being. I don't know if you'll watch this, but I absolutely love Jack. I think he's a fantastic guy.
Jack's phenomenal, and if I was going to be honest, right, I don't have. So Jack used to be in. I knew Jack when he was a little nipper in school. I used to see him on the playground, and he'd always come up and speak to me, and I'd speak to him. And I still remember him just coming up and speaking. And I don't know why you came up and spoke to me. I don't, but I always appreciated it. So thank you. And then he was a musical savant, and he was in a band with me. And
so I've heard.
Yeah, I ruined that. Do you know what? I never thought myself as egotistical, but I was going out with somebody at the time, and I just had no, and I'm going to chalk it down to the autism. I just had no understanding of what was appropriate, what wasn't, and when
You're saying that Susan was a really bad influence on your life.
it wasn't Susan I was going out. It wasn't Susan I was going out with.
Oh, so it was a bad influence when Susan came into your life.
No, but it was just naive and things. And I actually didn't realize at the time, but I burned a lot of bridges and I ruined a lot of friendships, which I miss. But Jack's the sort of guy that I feel like I could have been closer with, like, and we're not. So
You could invite him on to this.
do you know what? I could, but I would, but I'd be frightened. I think Jack would just This is what I like with Jack, right? So Jack, if you don't know, Jack does the sound and the lights and all the
Very, very good job he
the
does too.
pageantry that you see at the live shows, and it's gotten to the point now, and I've told him, he was like, no pressure, but I was like, if he turns into me and goes, I can't do that date, there won't be a show, I will move that show. I cannot do a show without Jack. He makes everything look amazing, and he knows his cues. He's like, he knows the ebb and flow.
Yeah, and because he loves it as well.
I've never asked him specifically, I want you to do this on my units, I want you to do that. He always just does it for me. And I've always really appreciated it. But one other thing which Jack is brutal with, I've kind of stopped asking the last while because I'm too feared. So I remember I'd have a match, right? And I'd go up to Jack and I'd say, where you got, right?
I do it. I still do it.
Jack never turns around and goes like, oh shit, right? Jack's just sort of go, nah.
Oh no!
And I'm like, all right, okay. And, but he's right, because then when I watch the footage back, I'm like, nah, he's right. It was awful. But he'll tell you straight. That's what I
he
love
does.
about him. Jack doesn't hold anything back. He's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
As much as it hurts, really.
I would really, really love to see him in this environment with you to discuss these things. I think he'd be another one who's got a lot to contribute.
I think Jack would have a 6-shooter, man. He'd be like, pew, 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 pew. He'd be shooting everything left, right, and center. He don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck.
He'd be shitting all over RJ Cash, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, Jack's somebody actually I should consider. I mean, I've got a good few folk lined up.
Aye.
And I want more lined up as well. I think the next one, provided everyone goes okay, I think I'm getting Brody on next.
That'd be really good, yeah.
So she's going to sit there for half an hour and slag me off.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's all she's going to do.
Of course.
She's just going to sit there and slag me off and make me cry.
Can you get Dutch on? Get her to take Dutch up.
That's too much fluff.
Oh, come on.
That's too much. Too much fluff.
I want to hear what
cuteness.
Dutch has to say.
I would overload my computer.
Dutch oven himself.
Oh, Dutch is our cat, by the way. Ricky is a crazy cat person.
Crazy
as well.
cat man.
Yeah.
Can we add that to the topics for next?
Crazy cat man.
Just
yeah,
cats.
I'm sure.
Just cats.
I'm sure
I
we
could talk
can
for 6 hours on cats, man.
I'm sure we can mention how you'll stop a car dead in traffic with a packet of Dreamies if
In
you
my
see a
glove
random
box.
cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think before we start wrapping things up,
We've
do
got
another
another
card.
bad choice. Let's
We'll
go.
another card. Ooh. Okay. Have you ever wanted to be with someone but ended up in the friend zone?
Oh hell.
I mean, you don't need to name names, but
yeah, probably.
do you know something? I think there's a generalized answer to that. I think I think everyone has, male, female.
I would say so.
I think it's part of growing up. I think we all as teenagers have rampant hormones.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I really like you. And it's like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm actually now thinking back to my teenage years and one female in particular who I absolutely adored, who was murdered in Glasgow while she was
Oh,
pregnant.
Jesus.
So that's put a real
warning, man.
yeah, it's put a really downer on
Wow.
my experience here, Dave.
But I know what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
because
that was sort of-
I really did have a big crush on Morel, and what happened to her was absolutely horrid.
awful.
But yeah, I remember one time she kissed me on the lips in the yard, as a little peck, when we were probably 18 or 19, because she was one of the ones that didn't forget about me in school. You know, there's a handful of people that in my life from my adult life that didn't entirely forget when I disappeared from school. You know, they remembered me, and Morel was an absolutely beautiful human being inside and out, and I will always treasure that little kiss that she gave me in the yard at the pool table, just a peck on the lips. I will never ever forget that.
So I think as horrific that situation is. I think having that is important, though. It's as painful as it is, because I have a belief of we obviously, I believe we have different views. So you're quite religious, whereas I'm not at all. So my belief is we get what we get, and in that, I have the little things like that are quite important. So for me, a memory of that
Yeah.
is important because it carries on with you,
Yeah, exactly.
and
yeah.
you don't forget
Yeah,
them.
I get you.
Whereas, like obviously, as I say, my belief is that when you're gone, you're gone. I view it as light switch off, right? But it's the people that go on that have it.
I agree with you that your memory will live in the people that you've impacted on, and that is positive or negative.
Yeah.
That you can have your life here. You can have influence on people. You have that ability, and you can be remembered in a positive or negative light. And I'd like to think that what we do, drawing it back to wrestling, what we do in that ring in front of the audience is a positive, lasting impact on not only the adults that attend, but the kids. They're going to grow. You see them looking at us
Struan.
as if we're, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Struan's one of the trainees, and he performs now, and he's got a wealth of talent. I want to punch his mouth every time he opens it. He's a cheeky bugger.
He's an a-hole.
But we love him.
We do.
And
sometimes.
Struan was a kid, a little boy, when he used to come to the shows, and he showed a photo one time. I don't know who he was posing with, and I went, oh, it's like, I'm old. But then there's so many that come up to us that are grown up now, and it's painful to hear, but like, oh, I used to watch you when I was.
You'll get that more than me, because obviously I've not been doing it as long. But
it's great though.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, when it happens a lot. Like when I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. It's always thinking about the kids.
Yeah.
So I don't want those kids to remember David Hobbs. I want them to remember Arkham.
Yeah.
And I want them to remember their favorite version, because I've got many versions. But I want them to remember the version. I feel at the moment the version that's coming is going to be the most memorable.
Yeah.
Because I'm putting a lot of the work into it. A lot of the inspiration, such as yourself. I take a lot of inspiration from yourself, how much effort you put into it. And I'm doing that now with my one, and all the little things. It's all my experiences with like the bar and all the people have come up. I'm trying to put it all into this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the leaving lasting memories with the it's special.
It is. And I just take this opportunity, because I say it pretty often on socials, thank you for the opportunity and the platform, because obviously you've built this from the ground up, and you've been through all the trials and tribulations that's come with, and really what we now have as a group is something that is really special, and you and Susan, and obviously Jack, and all the other people that have come through the door over the years, performers wise, have built it where it is now. And I, for one, really, really appreciated, not only for the impact that it's had on Riley's life and the positive impact it's had on my life, but also for the opportunity to give those lasting impressions, the positives and the negative ones, the joy, the fun, the laughter, the shock, the jumping out of your seats, to see the kids experiencing that, and adults too, but the kids, man, that means absolutely everything. And I know sometimes, again, you say, we've talked about it at the start of the show, that come down is really, really difficult to get through. The one thing I focus on is that enjoyment that I've given the kids that have attended, and just how overjoyed they get with what we can do with some metal, some wood, one layer of underlay, some mats, some.
And
Am I giving away too much?
And a lot of lycra.
Yeah,
it sucks.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do, though. And again, you are responsible for building that. So I want to say thank you, and thank you for that continued platform that is Combat League.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It does mean a lot to me, because I don't get that very often, but I do appreciate you saying it. And more importantly, just remember everything you said. Next time you will give me job face.
Permanent job face.
Permanent job. I think I'm going to do one more card, one more, and then we're gonna wind this down. Let's see.
Oh, you're picking it now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's go for that one. Do you own a sex toy?
Oh my God, Dave. No.
No?
I'll quite happily say no because the opportunity would be nice. Because it's I've been by myself for a while now, so here I'm not averse to them. I've not needed one in my experience, but yeah, it's not something I frequent using.
Do you know what? I love the fact that I started as you said, "Oh, well, I'm totally fine with my sexuality," and you've gone bright red.
I know, but no, hey, you've got to answer that now.
Drawers full.
I know that for a fact. Drawers full.
Hey.
As many comics as Dave
Hey,
has,
fight,
graphic novels.
Find what you like and run with it. Find what you like and run with it.
Dave likes things in his bum is the takeaway.
Do you know what? Nope. Nope. Hey. I've tried it,
Oh, Dave, this is taking a.
but not for me. Not for me.
Here.
Here, up the rear. So,
Don't ask Connor Rose that question because you get a different answer.
do you know what? You talk about game when he's not here, but he's going to batter you. Right. So, winding it down, we're going to go through the socials one more time. So, if you want to completely slag me on everything that was far too much information that came out in this podcast, email me on official LetsTalkAboutMeh@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch on Instagram, it's LetsTalkAboutMeh1, and this will be on YouTube. So, you just search Let's Talk About Meh on YouTube. I keep telling you, don't be lazy. Thank you very much, Ricky, for coming on. It's been good fun.
Thank you.
I mean, this is the first one we've done.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit hodgepodge, but I feel it was good. Maybe we need a bit more focus on topics, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed chatting with you, and we're definitely going to do this again.
100%.
But thank you again for coming on, and
No
I've
worries.
enjoyed it.
Thank you. I've
Right,
enjoyed
now,
it too.
Now I'm going to go show you all these drawers.
Oh yes, please. Let's put them things in your bum.